Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Today we're talking about a little bit of NFL news. We already did the spread show for the week. We've done the DraftKings show for the week, so might as well talk about some of these head coaching vacancies. Or not necessarily vacancies anymore, the new head coaching hires. So Geoff and Cust are coming up a little bit later on in this episode, giving their spin on everything. Now, the big thing is we talked about that after the show on Wednesday when Cust thought someone else was going to be the head coach of the New York Jets, not Adam Gase. So I'm going to leave it as it is. So just remember, it was recorded on Wednesday before the Adam Gase signing. So Jake Ciely is going to join me for this one to break it down a little bit. I want to get your thoughts on Adam Gase. It seems like everyone in this division, besides the Patriots, just exchanges coaches and GMs and whatever, and players for that matter. That is this a good signing or not? Because it's hard to tell with Adam Gase.
For fantasy purposes, obviously not. I mean, that's not the question we're asking here. Is you want to talk about real life NFL fans? I don't think it's as bad as people are making out to be. Like, let's be real. Like, I'm gonna try to be one of the positive people. Now, I'm not talking about my joke tweet when I said, "Hey, he won games with Brock Osweiler," as much as, "Hey, that's a testament to anybody." But the fact is, look at that Dolphins roster from top to bottom, and then tell me, does he not deserve a little credit for making that team competitive? I mean, yes, he's got flaws. Yes, it's terrible for Elijah McGuire and Robbie Anderson, assuming he comes back. He probably is restricted free agent, probably catches 500 yards for 8 touchdowns this season, like Devontae Parker type stuff. So there's a lot of problems with this team for fantasy purposes, but Sam Darnold gave him the thumbs up. They reported that Sam Darnold approved this before the hiring, as in somebody he thinks could be a very good development for his career.
And apparently they weren't even going to sign Gase until the owner, Woody Johnson, talked with Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning gave him the thumbs up too. But it's just a really weird situation, to be perfectly honest with you.
That doesn't mean anything to me. That's
apparently it meant a lot to Mr. Asbestos in my product, Woody Johnson.
I think that Peyton Manning basically this call is like, "Hey, he just let me do whatever the hell I wanted." Yeah, thumbs up. Let him. And now he's got an entire career based off my great 50+ touchdown season. Yeah, Adam Gase, terrific. No, there's a lot of questions here. I think it was uninspired hiring. I wouldn't be happy if I was a Jets fan. You know what, though? They're a pretty poor team. They're high up in the draft again. If he fails in 2 or 3 years, it's kind of like similar to the Cardinals situation. Is, all right, you tried, it didn't work out. At least you're not doing the Jeff Fisher 7-9 nonsense.
I guess so, but I mean, in the future, it could turn out that Adam Gase is just one of those guys. I do want to let everyone know, if you want to get into a draw for 20 DK bucks, like the episode, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Tell me which of the hires for head coach that you think has been the best so far in 2018. Does everyone have their spots filled now? Is that it?
No, you still have the Bengals.
Bengals and
the Dolphins. And I'm campaigning for the Dolphins because I said, if you want the next McVay, somebody age-wise, the facial hair, the style, like the good-looking and smart and analytical, hire me. Come on, Dolphins.
Did you hire you? I mean, I would take you.
I have a connection. I have a connection.
I mean, I think the Bengals are more likely because they're probably just going to hire Hugh Jackson, aren't they?
That is probably true. I was going to say, I do have a connection to Sean McVay, like everybody else tries to find. He was born in Marietta, Georgia. I have 2 ex-girlfriends from Marietta, Georgia.
There you go. That's perfect. You probably know. You're probably Eskimo brothers at some point.
Exactly.
So Adam Gase, do you think that the Jets will do something like sign Le'Veon Bell, but then also sign Frank Gore, and then they'll just play Frank Gore?
No, I think they're going to just stick with what they have with Elijah McGuire, Isaiah Crowell. Bilal Powell's unrestricted. Yeah, Bilal Powell's probably done in the NFL at this point with the injuries and everything. But I could see them either drafting or signing somebody lower down the like a Spencer Ware. But that's still going to lead to the same frustration, is you're just not going to want to do anything with this backfield.
So you're like the most positive person I've seen on Adam Gase so far.
Except for still not even that positive.
Except for Walter Football, who graded him as an A+ signing.
What?
Yeah, they did. I'm looking at it right now. Jets hire head coach Adam Gase. Grade A+. Best hire of the offseason.
Walter Trubisky or Trepet, how do you say? Is he like friends with him? Is it like part of the Gase family?
I don't know. It's just a lot of A grades. There was nothing. The only one was Cliff Kingsbury, F grade.
So, okay, so everybody gets A's, and except for Kingsbury gets an F. How could you get, like, I understand giving Kingsbury an F, but how do you call that an F and give Gase an A+? Get the hell out of here.
I don't know. So you're out on Kingsbury too?
I'm not out on him. Look, I'm going to go back to what I just said. This is a shot. If you want to take your shot, this is similar to what you and I have talked about it. I've talked about it a million times throughout my career, is that I've always been of the, I don't want an Andy Dalton. To make the comparison of what I'm going to say here is Andy Dalton is like, he's good enough that you can win with him, but you're almost kind of stuck with him as your quarterback, because it's like, can I really find better? Or do I just jump in, try to find a franchise quarterback, potentially fail in 2 or 3 years and have to do it all over again? I'd rather do that, because I'd rather potentially find a Luck or a Manning or a Mahomes or whatever. That's because that can win you multiple, if not a championship on its own. So this coaching hire is, I see that's their thought process with the Cardinals is, do we actually find our McVay, just because he looks like him, I guess, because he doesn't have ties to McVay, that's what they're doing. This is fail in 2 or 3 years and they're right back at it looking for another coach and at the top of the draft still. It's very possible, if you talk about the fact he didn't win well at Texas Tech. He didn't do a whole lot with Patrick Mahomes in college, although Patrick Mahomes was a raw product. We mentioned it when he came into the NFL. And if you look at it too, is he chose Davis Webb over Baker Mayfield. So all these things, there's plenty to not like about him. But I don't, again, similar to Gase, it's not that I would give it an A. I just don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be.
Do you think that Kyler Murray ends up going to Arizona only because Kingsbury likes him so much, and there's like, hey, Josh Rosen, take a hike?
I only because I could see if the Cardinals are really going all in with Kingsbury. So it's the fact of that scenario comes to play if somebody's willing to give them a first rounder for Josh Rosen. I think that's what has to happen first. If that can happen, I honestly could see them taking Kyler Murray. And it has nothing to do with what just Kingsbury said too. It's just Kingsbury's coming in. Let's treat Kingsbury as any other head coach in general. He wants his players. He doesn't have any ties to Josh Rosen. He had nothing to do with or say with what they did last year when they drafted Josh Rosen. So he wants his guys. And you always have to be concerned about the people that are there that have nothing to do with the new coaching staff. So if they somehow find a team that is willing to give up what they want for Josh Rosen, which, it's kind of hard to say, here's a first rounder for a first rounder that was basically a bust this year. If they do it, I could see them taking Kyle Murray. Yeah.
I just don't think that they're going to get a first rounder for Josh Rosen.
That's the problem.
Do you think they'd take a second rounder for him?
I think it would have to be a second and next year's second. I think it would have to be multiple. I don't think, because you're basically admitting you just threw away a top 10 pick last year.
Yeah, but I guess if you make this the hire of your coach, you do want him to select who he wants to have in there. And if Rosen doesn't fit in with what he wants to do offensively, then it's just going to be another disastrous season. It's probably going to be a disastrous season regardless. Maybe he gets fired like Steve Wilkes did at the end of the year. But I don't know. I asked this to Geoff and Tim. Like, who are the quarterbacks that you would want to take in this draft anyway? Like, could you just trade?
No question.
Haskins, no question.
No question. Like, I understand the 1 year concerns, but if you watch him, if you look at Dwayne Haskins, there's no question. I think that so somebody threw that on Twitter earlier today, somebody who covers the Giants, and said, what if the Giants sent them the 6th pick for Josh Rosen and then they take Kyler Murray? So that makes absolutely no sense, because you would just take Haskins, the better quarterback, at number 6 anyway. I do believe in Haskins, not a question about it. The rest of the draft, a lot of questions with Daniel Jones, Murray himself with the height and all that type of stuff. But if you're looking at to what I was saying about why, and I understand your point, and that's the point I was making too about the head coaching and wanting Kyler Murray and the coach that wants him in the system, still to not get a first rounder or at least like 2 second rounders, this team, to compare them to the Giants, you can look at the Giants and say they're a quarterback, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman away from probably being competitive. The Cardinals need so much that you can't throw away a first rounder just like that and say, all right, it's fine. We're going to go invest in the quarterback again when we need defensive line and linebackers and corners and wide receivers and tight ends and everything.
Could you just see them taking that first pick, trading it down once, then trading that pick down again and just try to get as many picks as possible?
It would make sense. How many times have the Patriots proved that it's the way to attack the draft? More picks means more opportunities to succeed, and yet teams still don't do it.
I mean, did the Patriots really cash in on any of those picks they traded down for, though? I feel like they do it a lot, and they're successful, so people make the connection. It's just like, yeah, they trade down for all these picks, but I can't remember who they really like. Hightower was the last one that I think they traded down for that ended up turning out, but it's really just him.
Look at the haul that we talk about all the time with the trades that have been made from like the Redskins or the trade. Look at what the Browns have ended up with throughout their career with the Sashi. Sashi Brown got so unfairly dismissed from that team for what he built that team to be competitive right now. For the Patrick Mahomes trade, all these trades, you look at it and look at the flip side of it. And it's not, yes, you're right in the fact that sometimes people can come and make the argument after the fact. But at the same time, it's just more opportunities for draft picks means more opportunities to hit on somebody. First round draft picks alone are like a 50-50 hit rate. So if you can get 2 in the first round, you're doubling your chances. If you get a couple second or third rounders, like once you get to the 4th round, it's almost nothing that hits, like 10% or something like that. So it's just more opportunities to hit. And that's why it looks good after the fact, is because some of them end up hitting. They should.
Steve Sarkisian fired in Atlanta. Dirk Cutter brought in to be the new OC. Matt Ryan struggled, generally speaking, the first year of a new offensive coordinator, and then excels. I mean, even this year, at least fantasy-wise, he was an excellent fantasy quarterback, despite the fact that the Falcons were no good. Obviously, it's an upgrade because Sarkisian was just awful, but do you think this really impacts the Falcons' offense at all?
Not as much as people would think, because he's also worked with Cutter before. So that's the good thing, is it's not your typical first year new offense type of thing. But if you look at Matt Ryan over the years, though, he's roller coaster. He's up and down and up and down. Like last year's QB2, the year before that, QB15, then QB2 and QB17 and QB6. And so it's just Matt Ryan in general. And I'm not saying there's anything to be said about every other year, but I don't think you're going to see a huge step back overall, because even 2 years ago when he was QB15, Julio Jones was still wide receiver 6. Mohamed Sanu was still inside the top 30, 35 wide receivers. So you still had the running back. So it's more so about the quarterback position in fantasy that I think kind of skews that avenue of the offense as a whole. I'm not worried about Julio Jones. I'm not worried about Calvin Ridley in his second year. I think the offense is going to be fine.
All right. Out of all of the head coaching hires, just even real life, not necessarily fantasy, which one do you think was actually the best?
I think you have to say Bruce Arians. You just have to. Excuse me. It's just the fact of his tenure, his entire career, what he's shown everywhere he's gone. I think that you have to like Bruce Arians. And honestly, I don't like the fact that he's so willing to. I don't understand. He trusts the guy, and you want Byron Leftwich to succeed. I would actually recruit, or I would like it better if he would have said, "I'm going to stick with the play calling and not just hand it off so fast to Byron Leftwich." I mean, maybe he's ready, but Byron Leftwich, when he stepped in for the Cardinals, not that he had a ton to work with, but didn't exactly do what we had hoped he was going to do when Mike McCoy got fired, and that was help David Johnson again and fix that offense and get it going a little bit. Now, again, Rosen was a big part of that, but you have to look at Arians, because Arians is a aggressive play caller, loves the deep throwing. Jameis Winston's a huge deep ball thrower. We look at the fact that even if Deshaun Jackson is gone, which I kind of hope for Chris Godwin, you look at that offense and the pieces everywhere that he has. The only thing he's missing right now for what he wants is a solid pass catching running back.
The problem is, I don't see how their fantasy-wise, their offense gets any better.
I actually think it could get better in efficiency. And that's that's the one concern you have to have. The one thing Arians hates, turnovers. Jameis Winston, he's going to want to fix that. If you can fix Jameis Winston turnovers-wise, efficiency-wise, I think why does it have to get better? It just, as long as it's last year and it doesn't take a step back, fantasy-wise, it's terrific. Jameis Winston would be a top 10, 12 quarterback playing 16 games under Arians with last year's entire. I mean, how many times did we throw out the numbers? If you put Fitzpatrick and Winston together, he would have been what, QB4 or something like that. So you just get 16 games out of Winston, a semi-capable running back, Chris Godwin. You look at OJ Howard, if he's back and healthy, he's never really had a tight end like that. For all the people arguing that, oh, he doesn't use his tight ends, he's just never really had one that talented. I think as long as you just get last year again, that's all I want. I don't need an improvement.
All right. Jake Ciely, check him out on Twitter at AllInKid. Subscribe to the All In podcast and the Patreon. Let people know what's going on the Patreon.
At patreon.com/allinsports with myself, Joe Pisapia, and your friend and colleague, kind of sometimes, Chris Meany up there when he comes on the show.
Friend of the Pat Mayo experience, Chris Meany.
There you go. Okay.
That's how I would label Chris Meany, and my friend in real life as well. I see him outside of actually him sitting across from me on the show. So that will do it for the head coaches coming up. Fienberg and Cust recorded on Wednesday evening before the Adam Gase signing. So what you're going to want to watch out for is Cust throwing some shade at Adam Gase, just a little bit. All right, stay tuned. All right, say goodbye to Jake Ciely. And we're back with Fienberg and Tim talking about some NFL news. The first piece of news that I wanted to talk about is New York Jets related. Now, as we record this, we don't know if they've actually hired the head coach. By the time people were watching this, maybe they have. But the bigger news, Chris Herndon IV, the blue blood himself, busted for driving drunk, Tim? Is that what it was?
That's what I'm reading, yeah.
Oh, no. He's suspended 2 games?
Well, usually that would concern me because he's such a great weapon and Sam really leans on him. But they have a buffet of good tight ends, and someone like Jordan Leggett will easily step in and thrive in a couple of games.
Would you like to offer me a Jordan Leggett wager for the 2019 NFL season?
Absolutely not. Not yet, anyway.
Because he's not good?
No, but like, who knows? What if the Jets like go draft a tight end or do something silly?
But you said that he's so good. Why would they need to draft a tight end?
Because they aren't always the best managers. McCagnon is not always the best manager of his roster. So, no, I'm not making one in January of 2019.
All right, so tell us about this guy that's rumored to be the Jets head coach.
I don't know a whole lot of. I mean, listen, he ran the show in Temple the 2 years.
How about start with his name?
Matt Rule.
Okay.
When he coached at Temple, that Temple team was actually quite good in 15 and 16. I remember on a primetime game, they took Notre Dame to the wire in a great game. I think they won 10 games both those seasons. Like, so that's pretty good in Temple. And they won the AAC, if I'm not mistaken. And then in Baylor, he took, of course, over a terrible situation in Baylor. And after one season, this year, they brought him to a bowl game and they won. So he's pretty youngish. He's got both offensive and defense experience. He's coached on both sides of the ball. I don't know whether it's going to be a good hire or not. I think a lot of it will hinge on who does he bring on board as his offensive and defensive coordinators and whether they can maximize a superstar kid that they have under center. If they can, it'll be a great hire. If they can't, it'll be a bust. So I'm not ready. I will grade it an I for incomplete because I don't know.
How long until he goes on social media proclaiming what an amazing hire it is? From this moment now being unsure, how long does it take for him to be like more than confident that this is the right man to lead Sam and these Jets, who will for certain be American Football Conference Eastern Division champions?
Well, they're already the preeminent franchise in the American Football Conference, as Tim has told us in the past. But here's how you know Tim hates this hire, because he's not willing to go all in right away.
It's a good point, Pat.
Like,
That's a really good
if
point.
this was, imagine if Jim Caldwell or if they could have taken the oldest man
Mike
on
McCarthy.
the oldest man on earth.
No, I
and
don't
made
want
him,
McCarthy.
Well,
Sure
you're not
you
getting
don't.
him.
Sure you don't.
The oldest man on earth and made him head coach of the Jets. Tim would be all in talking, raving about the experience that he brings. Tim, you hate this. Like, be real.
No, I don't hate it.
You do hate it.
No, Tim, your profile, Pat's spot on here. We all know you well enough, and any longtime listeners know that if you had even the shred of confidence in this pick, you'd be howling for how great of a hire it is. You having nothing, you sitting on the fence with your eye, may as well just be like you hating the hire.
Well, I mean, I can see why you guys are saying that, and I appreciate that. I sincerely don't know whether he's going to be good. I need to at least reserve judgment until I see who his staff is. Maybe once he's brought in a staff and I can judge that and evaluate that, then I can start to make some statements. But at the moment, I don't want to get over my skis on it. I'm suspicious of McCagnon because I don't think he's very good at his job so far. And so we will have to see. I am hopeful. He did good things at Temple, and he has turned Baylor around in a pretty quick period of time to be a bowl team already. I mean, believe it or not, some coaches can come out of the Big 12 with a winning record. Maybe the Jets will be that team. I don't know. So I'm interested to see how it works out. And nothing has been officially declared yet. So I don't want to get all riled up about something that might end up falling through and we hire Adam Gase or something. Like, so I got to be careful.
You've already come out and said you don't want Mike McCarthy. What happens when they swerve last second? All of a sudden, Mike McCarthy is the head coach of the Jets. Is he going to be a great coach all of a sudden?
No, I will stick to what I said before. It's like there's no coach in the NFL better at taking the league's best quarterback and only getting one Super Bowl out of him. So that maybe he is perfectly fit for that type of job. I don't know. I don't want him. I will not be happy if he's hired.
Listen, you were very sour on some of the other hires, but I don't know what separates your hire from those hires.
Neither do I. But except that he's not an
Except he's the
offensive
Jets
brain.
coach.
No.
So
But
got
while
to give him
he's
some
young-
time here.
While he's young and he's from college, he is not some offensive whiz guru, cookie cutter Sean McVay player. Like, he's young, but yet he is sort of different from the rest of them.
He's not as handsome as Cliff Kingsbury, hence maybe he's a better coach than like. I'm just saying.
It's a
I know
gamble.
for a
It's a
fact
real
you
gamble.
despise the Kingsbury hire, but you're essentially doing exactly that. Except this guy's a little less handsome, or a lot less handsome.
because
A lot
Kingsbury
less
is
handsome.
supposed to be an offensive guru in a way that I don't think anybody is seriously saying that Rule is. I think Rule did a creditable job in the last two places he was at. He played, he was linebacker when he was at Penn State, so I think he knows both sides of the ball. I'm willing to, like I said, put a pin in it, postpone my sentiments till at least the hire is made and I see who his staff is. And then, like as Lord Maynard Keynes said, I change my opinions when the facts change. What do you do? Maybe I'll change my view then.
Wait until he goes reverse Kirk Cousins on Mike McCarthy once Mike McCarthy ends up being the coach.
I'm
But I
looking-
never wanted him from the jump.
Yeah, but then when
think
he's the
so.
Jets coach, you'll be, oh yeah, he's so good though. He's won a Super Bowl.
No, I will be.
No one believes that, Tim. No one believes it.
There will be a very quick. You guys are crossing your arms in disbelief, but I will have a very quick hook for him. I'm just saying that's not McCarthy is not who I want. If they brought him in as OC, I would still not be thrilled, but at least he wouldn't be running the team. Like, he's just not who I want.
Okay, so you hate Cliff Kingsbury being the head coach of the Cardinals.
No, I don't. Hate is a strong word. I'm more annoyed at the people on Twitter who are like, "This is such a brilliant hire, and it's certainly going to succeed." Like,
I mean, I don't think I've actually seen anyone say that.
I
That-
have.
that
Well,
you haven't. That's just what you're projecting onto
No,
what they're
I
saying.
have, and I'm
You're,
sure Geoff has.
this is what you do
No,
all
I
the
haven't.
time. You do this all the time. You see some sort of report
I've
that's
seen
like
lots of-
somewhat positive, like, "Hey, this is pretty exciting. Cliff Kingsbury's the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals." And then
No, it's
you
exciting.
read it in your voice, and then you interpret it in your way, and be like, "Well, they're saying that he'll never lose a game." That's what you do.
I just don't know what's exciting
In
about
fact,
it.
I would argue the other Pat that I've seen more mainstream media types.
Be pissed off about it. Yeah.
Yeah, like really like
What?
thinking this is some
As I
laughing
retweeted someone
stock
today,
hire.
Steve Wilkes should be absolutely upset that they
This guy
gave
went
him
like-
1 year
yeah.
and fired
This
him for this guy.
The guy went like 4-30 versus teams with a winning record. I
He
don't
had
know.
Patrick Mahomes, and he managed to lose to bad teams with Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes had to not play football for a whole year with the Chiefs in order for Andy Reid to turn him into the star he is. Like, I'm sorry, maybe Kingsbury will be good, but I see absolutely no case evidence that he's some sort of inspired or good hire. I think this is chasing after an imitation of something else, and I think it is likelier to not succeed than succeed.
I don't like that we're in this age of all of a sudden a lot of these steps get skipped.
No, this is where we're at with everything.
I guess.
This is how the world now
Yeah,
works.
they're desperate to
And when
find
it
a, they're
fails, we'll go
desperate.
back.
They're desperate to find a coach for the quarterback.
Of
Yeah,
course,
I
in a
guess you
millennial
can-
age,
But this is no different
in a
than
millennial age, we want to short circuit the actual paying of dues in order to reward. Well, thankfully, most coaches are not going to be like Sean McVay. Most are going to fail, like Lane Kiffin did, for example, are going to fail when they are promoted too quickly, and people will learn. Actually, no, I can't go hire a 36-year-old. That's crazy. I want to hire someone who's 50, who's paid their dues for a few years.
Yeah, but those
These
guys,
things
do
are
those guys have a
internal
substantially better track record than the super young guys? Like most NFL coaches don't succeed, then get fired pretty quickly.
I just think this
I
is
don't know.
We
very
just saw 9 fired, 8 fired.
without any surefire like obvious hires.
Yeah.
That's what made this offseason so interesting. Was there's so many jobs gone, and you never like normally there's years where you can sort of like connect a few dots.
Well, it did make sense that Fangio would go to the Broncos. That always kind of made sense to me. And that's
I
a good hire.
don't understand that whatsoever. Why are the Broncos hiring a defensive head coach?
Vance Joseph
Because-
was
Why not hire you have a good defense? Hire an offensive
they
coach
hi-
who can figure the fuck out.
like
Apparently, they're going to go
Kubiak's
after
back.
Kubiak,
great.
bring him back.
For perfect.
They
Maybe,
won a
maybe they can
Super Bowl with
rehire Mike
Kubiak.
Shanahan too.
They won a Super Bowl with Kubiak, then he retired for health reasons. Kubiak would be, if he wanted to come back in that job as OC, be great. Kubiak's a great coach.
Here's
Like,
the
that's
thing.
crazy. Like,
Peyton Manning, no longer the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. Remember that though.
I would take Kubiak.
Do you know what I like about your
Kubiak
list
What?
in front of you? That you're forgetting a team, but they're so forgettable.
Who have I forgotten?
That doesn't have a coach.
I only wrote down the guys that have coaches.
Oh.
Who's the other team that doesn't have?
Miami.
Oh yeah, no one gives.
But it's like,
no one
congrats.
gives-
I saw so. I think it was like a
If they-
Doty
if-
on.
even if they hire a coach, are we going to pretend
No,
like
but
anyone's
even-
going to notice?
Even like I think he writes for NBC Roto World. Patrick Doughty.
Oh, Roto Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. But he made a joke like, "Congratulations to all these coaches for not taking the Miami Dolphins job."
They'll probably like go through the scouting process, and be like, "All right, we got our guy, Adam Gase.
The Dolphins
Just hire him again."
I know it sounds ridiculous, but if the Dolphins roster to me is so pathetic and barren that they may as well try to collapse to get like back-to-back first overall picks.
Yeah, I think Xavier Howard's on the last year of his rookie deal too. You might as well just trade him.
Anyway,
Who's your favorite hire, Tim, of everyone?
My favorite hire is Arians. I think that's
Because he's
really
old.
because he's a man and he wears a
No,
jaunty chapeau.
But
I
everywhere
like the
he's
hire
been,
though.
everywhere he's either been acting head coach or head coach, he's succeeded. He left because he wanted to retire, and he still wants to play the game. I think Jameis is still incredibly skilled, and that he's incapable of so much more than he has been. I think bringing him there with the offensive pieces they have should be smart. Bowles is a good defensive mind. He wasn't cut out to be a head coach. Having him as the DC there make a lot of sense to have them back together when they were, as they used to work well together in Arizona. I don't know. I think they're bringing that band back together, and that Cardinals team under Arians overachieved probably from the talent level they had. I think Tampa's got a lot of skill.
Okay, hold on a second. You think that Arizona team overachieved based on their skill? Like 3 days ago, you called Carson Palmer a Hall of Famer.
I think in part because his success was maximized based on being coached by Arians. I mean, Arians resurrected his career.
Jeff, did you
That's
hear?
just a fact.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
You think Carson
Yes.
Palmer's a Hall of Famer? Do you?
No, I kind of double taked when he said that in our
More
chat.
like, because listen, he was by the numbers, he was by far the MVP in 2015, and then he didn't give it to him. And before he got hurt in Cincinnati for a few years, he was great. And
So he had like 3 good years, so he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
He took the Bengals to the playoffs after his injuries.
I don't
Then
like
he-
Phillip Rivers is going to go to the Hall of Fame, but for a while there was kind of like, is Rivers going to get in kind of thing. Like he's probably most definitely going to get in at this point, but he's been good every year of his career, and there is still debate on him. And you think that Carson fucking Palmer is going to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
His highs were as good as any. He was a top 3 quarterback at his.
That's not how quarterbacks get in. He would have had to win 3 Super Bowls.
I think he's fine. I think he's borderline, but I would put him in. I think he's good enough. That's my opinion.
Does
I
he-
could be wrong.
Jeff, does he even sniff the Hall of Fame?
No.
No, he's not even close.
Well, he will get votes, and he'll be in that short list. Maybe he doesn't get in. Of course he will. Played a long time. He's got a bunch of stats. He had some impressive wins. Like in the,
Did his stats even compare as a career to like Matt Stafford's stats?
Oh, of course they do. It is his
Do
best years.
they?
were
No,
much better than
I'm genuinely asking that question. Do they?
his best years were far better than Matt Stafford's.
I feel like Matt Stafford had like
Statistically, Matt Stafford's years are kind of fine.
yeah, except for this one.
What's funny is even like the years over and like Eli's like baseline stats
Aren't awful.
weren't awful, but it didn't look good, I guess.
Who do you like the best, Jeff?
We had talked about this all season that I mean, it's no surprise what happened with this trend and who people were hiring. I don't like any of them, but I don't not like any.
I
of them.
don't hate,
like. I don't know.
I
Anything.
don't hate Freddie Kitchens. I
No, I don't hate that hire. That makes sense if you're trying to cultivate a very raw
Can
quarterback.
I
and
give
young-
you? Can I throw some real cold water on that one though?
Here's what I like about it: that if it doesn't work, out of all of these ones, I think it's easiest to get out of at the end of next year if it doesn't work. Because there's like, oh, we promoted him from OC to head coach. Oh, he had a shitty year. Let's get rid of him and bring in someone else. And maybe they took a look at this barren coaching market and was like, fuck it. There's no one good to hire anyway. Maybe next year there will be.
I get it. I don't hate that
So
hire.
the last 10 coaches that were given the job from within the organization. This is not a fun list. These are the last 10. Dave Campo, Bill Callahan, Raheem Morris,
Ooh.
Jim Mora,
Sideshow Raheem.
Jim Caldwell, Mike Munchak, Hugh Jackson Raiders, Jim Tomasulo,
Oh,
Dirk Cutter, and Ben McAdoo.
where's Mike Singletary on that list?
Those are
Coach of the century.
the last 10 coaches who were promoted.
Tim, you love Tom Sula.
And from that, you infer that usually, whether it's in any part of business or sport in life, the best person for the job, if you're being truly, genuinely fair, doesn't exist in the building. But I don't not like the Freddie Kitchens hire. I see what all these teams are trying to do. I would say from a personality standpoint, the Green Bay one really hires me. Well, and I don't know whether that's just people, Pat, who are peers of his, who just like are jealous. But there's a lot of talk like this guy's never been a coach. He's never been like this guy can't lead anybody. Couldn't lead like 6-year-olds. And now it's like they've just made a coach. By de facto, Aaron Rodgers now officially the head coach.
Well, I think that Matt LaFleur is kind of getting a bad rep here. Like, he went to Tennessee this year, and they're like, oh, he didn't turn around their offense. Well, Mariota was playing with, like, a broken elbow all year, so that doesn't help matters. They were missing their best offensive lineman for most of the year, and then he had Blaine Gabbert for, like, 5 games. It's tough. Like, I don't love the hire either, but I wouldn't just write him off like he's sucks.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
I don't know. I don't dislike any of them. And even Bruce Arians, who's like the elder statesman, I think that's a fantastic hire. You look at who's on his resume of quarterbacks he's worked with.
Hall of Famer Carson Palmer.
Andrew Roethlisberger, Luck, Peyton Manning. Let's go. Yeah. So I think
do you think that Jameis? Now, I'm just throwing this out here. Jameis kind of a moron. I think we can all agree Jameis kind of a moron.
That penalty against Dallas, you can't count backwards.
It doesn't make the savviest of plays. I think that's going to be the hardest part. Like, Arians has dealt with a string of what a lot of people would call very high IQ quarterbacks. Except for, actually, you know what? Ben's not. Roethlisberger is not. He's a dummy. And so is Jameis. Jameis also a dummy.
Okay, yeah.
Funny how they live very similar lives, too, when you really think about it. But the rest of them, like, taking over the offense, like they're Palmer, Manning, Andrew Luck, they're all kind of the same. That I don't know if it works as well. I think the offense is perfect for what Bruce Arians likes to do. He likes to have a very vertical offense. And with Godwin, you're going to lose Deshaun Jackson. No big deal there.
Maybe not. You may not lose Deshaun Jackson.
You don't need Deshaun Jackson. Get rid of Deshaun Jackson.
Okay, but you may not lose him now. In fact, I think he may come back now. Because
he better come back for fucking no money, because that's a place where they can just cut salary right away.
Yeah, anyway, Tampa's been a graveyard for coaches. Like, a graveyard.
Since Levy.
I think this one won't be so bad.
Does it worry you that, like, he retired due to health reasons and now he's back?
That's always
But, you
weird.
you don't know what those health reasons were. Maybe you're off from the stresses were enough to, who knows, right? Like,
and sometimes it's health reasons, like, is it not another fake code for, like, a mutual parting?
Yeah, I think that's
possible. But it's also possible he does have health reasons, and I'm not going to judge somebody who says that their health was not good then and is good now.
My least favorite
is it Fox or is it CBS that he was with this year?
CBS.
So do you think CBS paid Tampa Bay to hire him because he was such a fucking shitty announcer?
He was. Yeah,
he was
bad.
Not a great announcer, but he was also a rookie at it. I don't like judging somebody right? Just because they're not as good as Tony Romo doesn't mean they can't get better. I mean, Troy Aikman was one of the worst color commentators ever when he started.
Hear
now
during
he's fine.
The game on Sunday, it was like 5 minutes in, less than.
I feel like Romo really upped his game for the playoffs.
Less than. Nance goes, and this is our first time seeing the Chargers this year, and that's our fault. And now we'll see them again. And Romo got some criticism from losers because he made a comment that Rivers is pissed. Apparently,
it offended Tim.
Well, I just don't listen. It was authentic, but I would prefer that people not use language like that.
But isn't Tim? Listen, I feel bad for a guy like Tim who could turn on an NFL playoff game
and hear the word pissed, or he can just come on here. I can call him a fucking piece of shit coward.
No, Tim
I
can
wasn't
turn
upset.
on.
I heard it and went, that's. I don't like to encourage the coarsening of the culture in any way. So,
and Tim, an NFL
playoff. Tim's a big Trump guy, though. Remember that.
That's not true.
You're a huge Trump guy.
That's not true at all.
All he does on our text thread is just defend Trump.
That's not true.
Give him the wall. It'll make him go away. He'll stop bitching about it if you just give him the wall. So give him the wall.
I just don't like to see the
pro-Trump.
culture. I don't like to see the culture coarsened. And so when I see stuff like that, I'm like, I wish.
What's worse? What's worse? Because this is where I was going, but I'll just make it a what's worse. Romo saying Rivers is pissed, or the audacity of this like NBC crew to think they could wear sweaters.
I like the sweater.
That second part. For sure.
He's so angry that they're not in shirts and ties broadcasting the game.
I'm sorry, it bothers me. I don't care. It bothers me. It's the NFL playoffs. You're professionals. You should dress to the moment, and you should dress in a jacket and tie when you're calling the game. I'm sorry. That's just how
as someone who's called games before, I know you have no experience with this. Being as comfortable as possible is usually the move. Considering you're on screen,
but it's not actually
considering you're on screen for what, 4 minutes?
In every major sport,
who cares?
In college, they always were jacking it because it's about being professional.
Well, I'm sorry, Tim. Times change. I hate to tell you. I told
but
Tim's ideal scenario here is to be cryogenically frozen today.
They were wearing jacket and ties for 15 weeks this year. Then they just started wearing sweaters.
Yeah, got cold out. They wanted to be a bit. They wanted to be a bit more comfortable. I'm pro anyone being more comfortable, especially on air.
I don't like it. I wish they'd wear jacket and tie. I'm sorry if I'm old fashioned. I'm old fashioned. I don't care. I just wish that they did, and I wish people wouldn't curse on a network TV. I'm sorry. That is how I feel.
Pissed.
He's fucking pissed, is what he is.
No, I'm not. But I'm not criticizing Tony. I mean, he came out by accident. He didn't say, "Listen, that's."
Imagine tuning in to Sunday Night Football to watch the playoff game, and the thing you're concerned about is what the guy calling the game is wearing.
Wearing.
I mean, the whole thing is, I mean, when you watch the Golden Globes, did you not even watch the ceremony? You just got triggered by what people were wearing on the red carpet beforehand.
I tweeted
like, go fuck yourself.
Listen, you're blowing this out of proportion.
No, I'm not. Like, this is so ridiculous.
I make one tweet about it, and then I don't say anything else about it. And it's impugned that, you had no, I didn't. I just noticed that they weren't dressed professionally, and I just said it.
Well, I don't see what was unprofessional about how they were dressed. I thought they looked fine.
No, it's an NFL. No, it's a professional sport. You're supposed to dress for show the event the respect it deserves. And so a jacket and tie is appropriate. I'm sorry, it just is. This is not up for debate. This is not like, and it's clear.
It is up for debate. I mean, when I did my show live from Foxborough, you showed up dressed like fucking Aladdin.
I wasn't calling an NFL game on network TV.
No, I thought it was supposed to be professional. We're broadcasting from the stadium.
I wasn't wearing, no, I don't know what you think you're arguing here, but you're not making it very well. Like,
everyone is on my side with this. You're just the crazy person standing in the corner yelling.
Isn't, because you'll watch on the other three networks, they'll be wearing jacket and ties this weekend because they understand that you have to. You ought to.
You don't. I gotta say, you don't have to because we just saw you don't have to.
I'm trying to say you ought to.
Jeff, would you want to be comfortable? Do you care what they're wearing?
So maybe they're not even wearing pants.
They probably aren't wearing pants.
They are definitely wearing pants.
How do you know? Do you think that why? If you can never see most people who are on TV who don't have to wear pants, like most of the time when I do my show and it's a single shot, I'm not wearing pants.
They do show them like seated on high stools usually during the game.
Okay, so then in that case, they would be wearing pants. If that was not a shot that they had, they would not be wearing pants.
I think they would not be wearing shorts in the cold outdoors calling a football.
Well, they're not outdoors, Tim.
You do have to go out. You don't understand.
We've probably done this.
No, you see, you don't. Here's the whole thing. You don't seem to understand any of this.
Understand the situation.
No, you see, you don't understand the situation whatsoever. The fact that you've never been in this situation and I have, then it's sort of a thing.
There are 0 people walking around Soldier Field in a pair of shorts.
I mean, I saw like 4 people with no fucking shirt on at the game, so I can guarantee you that's not the case. Also, here's what you don't understand about broadcasting. You just don't see them. They're not following them around the entire time. They might wear sweats or whatever. They probably don't even wear the suit and tie or whatever they're wearing until they actually get physically into that booth.
Yeah. I don't doubt that.
So you don't think they could bring a change of shorts if they wanted to?
I don't think they're walking around in -6-degree weather in a pair of shorts.
That's not what I'm saying. When you get into the booth, if you're going to be changing in the booth anyway, and you can change into shorts, why wouldn't you change into shorts?
They're not doing that because
you don't know. You don't know what they're doing. Once again, you're just talking out of your ass about something you have no idea about. No, I have been in this situation.
Show the guys up on stools and chairs or standing around. You see the whole.
Those 2 that you're talking about, but I'm saying that anytime that you cannot see their legs, 90% of the time they're wearing shorts.
Okay, fine. Stipulate that. Whatever. That's not what's being shown on TV.
You don't seem to think that's the
case.
What
I care about is what's being shown on TV. I actually don't even care that much. You're getting me wound up with something.
You do seem to really care about it. It's really bizarre. It's another one of your get off my lawn moments, which makes no sense.
It's another one of, hey, listen, do we have to degrade the culture in every little way? And can't we?
You are the same person I mean, just listen to your food takes. Did you know? We found this out last night because I had a friend who was over who revealed this about Tim. You know, when he was talking about making nachos, the best way to make nachos is to put the cheese on the nachos and put them in the microwave. Do you know that he used to put the salsa and cheese on the nachos and put them in the microwave?
Who told you this?
Is it true or false?
Oh, wait, I know who's in Toronto. Yes, it is true. I used to do that. I used to put the Ruffles dip, and I used to put...
the Ruffles dip? So not even the salsa?
All three. I used to put the Ruffles dip and the salsa and the cheese on, and then nuke it. Guilty as charged. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. I admit it. Thank you for bringing. I'm glad that you brought it up for no other reason than to have people laugh here. But whatever. I don't deny it. That is true. I don't do it anymore. Why did you bring that up? What's the point of bringing that up?
Well, these are your takes. These are these are the things that you think that people do and people should do. And until it was pointed out, until it was pointed out to you that is ludicrous, and then you had to change. So I think these are your same takes on how sartorial matters should exist on TV.
I'm just saying it has been this way for a while, not by accident. People dress up to be on TV for these sorts of events because it's about professionalism. And it's about giving the event the respect it deserves. That's all. Like, could you imagine somebody at Augusta or St. Andrews wearing a T-shirt and a pair of jeans calling the event? Well, they wouldn't, because they'd be thrown off the grounds at Augusta with good reason. And they wouldn't at the British Open either, because that wouldn't be like, you have to show the event the respect it deserves. That's all. And dressing up is being professional.
Like, you think Vern Lundqvist was sitting in that tower in anything but like shorts and sandals, and then when he had to, even at the Masters, and he walks in there in sandals, a polo, and shorts, and there's an iron jacket and shirt there waiting for him.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's
Tim
it.
doesn't know that, though. He likes to think
and when they're like, "Oh, you're doing a camera hit in 12 minutes," he puts it on. And when it's over,
that. And why does he put it on? Because he knows you have to dress respectfully. You're going to be on
TV. The whole point is, I don't see what was so disrespectful about like what Collinsworth and Al Michaels were wearing.
I didn't even say it was disrespectful. All I did was say, I'm surprised that they're not wearing jacket and ties. That's disappointing. That's all. And it's disappointing.
And you're going to see more and more of this because we're going to get, we're very quickly morphing into the age of where the main broadcast is still going to be the main broadcast, but we're going to have the options for different broadcasts. Especially like Turner, especially now, is going big on gambling. Like even in in the NBA game, it was the Wizards game. They were showing live odds on the board all the way throughout the game. If they get their hands on some sort of other properties, like they did the Tiger and Phil thing, that wasn't a super success because they weren't able to charge anyone for a pay-per-view event. They had to give it away for free. But that was just one step one of their incorporation of this. You're going to see more and more companies start to do it. Tim, is that going to trigger you when live odds are on the screen during the game?
No, I don't particularly care.
Why? That's not how they did it in 1971. Howard Cosell's turning around in his grave.
Well, listen, once they chose to, put the yellow line on the field and now the field goal line on the field and the green zone, like once they decided to impose various things on my viewing experience, what's another one?
When Cameron Champ wins a U.S. Open in 3 years while wearing shorts, will it mean less than the guys that, like, did he earn it less than the guys who had to wear it in pants?
No, but I think it will be a disrespectful look and unfortunate if it happens. That's all. It's like watching people call bank while they putt with the flag in. Very, very, very troubling.
People loved the flag in. Do you know who loved the flag in more than anyone else, as it turns out?
Who?
People who actually attend the events.
I believe that.
Because they were able to locate,
yeah.
They could see the hole from around the green.
Yeah.
They weren't just guessing where it was.
I could get into that, sure.
And Bryson led the field in putting. He didn't do it every time.
I'm sure it's an advantage, but that's not an argument for it, despite it being an advantage.
Why isn't that an argument for it?
Like, I know, like, why it should be a rule. Of course, I understand why they're doing it.
I don't even really watch the sport anymore, but I can tell you, I think hockey needs to bring back the glow puck.
They are bringing back the glow puck.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the 2-line pass offside, because I'd be on board with that.
Yeah,
are you anti-glow puck?
Hamper scoring. That's where Tim wants to see hockey.
Yeah, because the Oilers scored 0 goals a game in the 80s with a 2-line offside.
Well, do you know what you should really rally against then? How about this? How about you rally against hockey or goalie gear rather than rail against a 2-line pass?
Like the two-line pass did not prevent scoring in any way. That's just teams just played the left wing lock, and they got the two-line pass got blamed for it.
No, because when the two-line pass was in, you could effectively set up the trap. It just took teams a lot longer to figure out how to do it. And once they figured out how to do it, it killed all the scoring in the league.
I still think it should be back. It should be an offside. I don't like those cherry-picking passes. It's not the hockey I like. It's not what I want to watch.
You don't even watch hockey.
I watch Montreal games on occasion. I'm not an expert by any means.
He wants everything to be tailored exactly how he
No,
wants it.
I just think
Everything. I don't even watch this, but it needs to be how I like it.
I'm just saying, many of the not all, but many changes that are made, I think, while well-intentioned, end up having negative externalities and not being for the best. That's
Fine.
all. There's some changes I would like to see rescinded. That's all.
Here is one change that Tim loves, and he was going on about it, and he guaranteed that the Raiders would be in the Super Bowl by 2020. Mike Mayock.
No, I didn't say Super Bowl.
Yes, that's exactly what you said. You said AFC Championship. I'm sorry.
They'd be a top 4 team by 2021.
No, you said 2020.
Like the 2021.
You
playoffs.
said 20.
Yeah.
The year 2020, they would be a top 4 team in the NFL
2020
because they hired Mike
2021.
Mayock.
I think it's a really smart hire to do what they want him to be, like the chief scout and like
I mean, chief guy Gruden can blame.
Here's the thing about Mike Mayock.
I think he's a smart guy.
I think we like him. I like him.
Everyone likes him.
Even when he did Notre Dame games, I like him.
That's why Tim likes him.
great.
That's why Tim likes him.
But do not kid yourself and think that he isn't a dime a dozen guy. That within every building in the league, there's 6 of them. He just happened to have a personality.
He's the best at
that he
TV.
did it on TV. The guy making the draft pick, the guy having the one-on-one convos with the GM, who the GM trusts, doesn't need to have a personality. Just needs to be able to have that relationship. And those guys exist. He just did it with a personality, and he made an avenue successful by doing it on TV. And I liked him a lot, as do a lot of people. I don't think he's any better than the guys that you have never heard their names before.
Do you think he's better or worse than Reggie McKenzie?
On par, like no better. I don't know. Maybe the same.
He's probably worse.
Okay, sure.
I would think.
Maybe there's a lot of bad GMs out there, and I would say he's probably better than most of them. Or at least I'm willing to give him the opportunity to have that chance. I mean, if he fails, he fails. But like, I actually don't hate that hire. I think there's something inspired about it. You're letting Gruden build the
what
team
is
he wants to
inspired about it?
That a guy who is enmeshed in the world of scouting. He's going to be the chief scout. I mean, he's got great connections. He's got contacts. I think he will be good at the job.
You literally just explained like 98% of the people who do that job.
But I think he will be good at it. Like I'm not saying he's the best guy in the world at it, but I think he'll be okay at for the job and role they've carved out for him. I think he should be able to thrive, or at least he has the opportunity to do so. It's better than just hiring some backroom guy who just knows how to crunch numbers. Like, because that if it's Gruden making all the personnel decisions, well then like whatever. I think that he will be like a counselor for John, someone to bounce ideas off of. I think Gruden likes him, so I think that'll help.
I'm pretty sure this worked out by Mayock one year saying like he really liked a 3rd rounder. That guy has gone on to be a big success. And Gruden is like perceptually held on to that.
No,
therefore
I
he's
don't
the
even
guy.
think it's that. I think they're like buddies, whatever, and that's how he ends up
do
getting the
think
job.
they're
That's most of the. That's honestly most of the NFL.
Whatever.
You can be the least qualified person in the room. If the guy who's hiring likes you, you get the job. It's like most jobs. But
that's
where
human nature.
Mayock is such a public figure, people know who he is. It's such an easy guy to blame everything on when it goes wrong instead of blaming it on Gruden. Gruden can fire him. Oh, Mayock fucked this up. That's what he's there for.
Well, they got what? It's 25th overall. I think was what the Bears number will
They
be.
have 3 picks. They have the Dallas pick. They have
And Dallas is going to be like
Chicago
26.
pick and their own pick.
and there's no quarterback.
So they're picking 4th overall, then they're picking at the back of the round with 2 more. At least for this upcoming draft, because Dallas and the Chicago picks are pretty good. Like,
Do you package them and move up, or potentially move up next year?
I don't know. It seems
I would
like
probably
they
deal
want.
1
It
to 2
seems
of
like
them
they're
back.
looking to just.
They're a team with absolutely no
Yeah, they're
depth.
looking
Maybe you
to
take
just-
25 and trade back for a 2nd and a 3rd or something.
That's what I was
Sure.
thinking precisely. 25 and 27.
Who knows? I don't know. They could even trade 4 and get like 3 more picks.
That seems to be the move.
Like the Brown, like
Especially-
the Browns build prototype. A lot of people already joke like the Raiders, the Dolphins team should sort of try and prototype The Browns.
But then you got
0-15, 1-15, 0-16
it's so lucky though that you can have it's same thing in basketball. Like when you tank for the lottery, like it worked out for the 76ers because they got two guys who were really good. And it's going to work out for the Browns, it looks like, because they ended up with Baker Mayfield.
It doesn't always work, and you win 2 games and you're picking third or something.
Yeah, it turns out like you're the Jets and you just draft some moron and then you're tanking for the next 10 years.
People are really, I know it's all hyperbole and they're a little ahead of themselves, but people are already very excited for the 2020 and 2021 top of QB classes. So
we'll see.
This year seems like the year Eric Fisher went first overall. Like
this year feels like the year where the Giants are going to trade up and overdraft somebody.
Oh yeah, some quarterback will be overdrafted.
Someone's getting over.
Who is the quarterback in the draft?
Right now they say it's Haskins from Ohio State.
I like Haskins, but I mean,
Drew Lock from Missouri and this kid who I love from Duke. I love him.
Tim will love me, but he went to Duke.
I think if Haskins is there at 6, the
Jones
Giants would
is the guy.
and I think he'd actually be quite valuable.
Here's the problem though: the Giants pick 5.
6.
Sorry, the Giants pick 6, the Jags pick 7, the Broncos pick like 9, the Dolphins pick 12.
So one of those teams might move up.
The Dolphins, the Broncos, the Jags are all going to try or potentially look to move ahead of the Giants.
Is it worth moving up and sacrificing? Because you probably have to trade your whatever pick you have 9 and your first round pick next year to move up to like 2, 3, whatever. Is it worth moving up for a guy and maybe by the time the draft comes around, like, oh, this guy's a generational talent. Like if we're not seeing it now, I don't see really what changes over the next 4 months.
But it always happens.
Are you better off just signing Flacco to a 2-year deal and then waiting?
But I'll just say this. I mean, no one really thought a couple years ago we would have people were sort of unsure about Trubisky, and the next thing you know, the Bears hop up into number 3.
Who went first that year?
First overall was, oh my goodness.
Was it a quarterback?
No, it wasn't. It was the year after Wentz Goff.
So he was the first quarterback selected.
Yeah, I'm almost certain he was.
Oh, it was what's his name from the Browns? The defensive end.
Oh, Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett.
John Ross went in the top 10.
Yeah, that was not a good
pick.
Bengals, right?
Yeah. Number 8, I think.
Mike Williams finally playing well. But
Christian McCaffrey went inside the top 10 too.
Chargers could have drafted Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes.
All right, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Follow Geoff on Twitter at gfienberg17. Also, remember always to follow Untitled Cust.
That is not my name.
On the Twitters, you can follow me at the PME. Subscribe to the audio podcast. That's going to do it for this week. Remember to like the episode, leave your DraftKings handle, and tell me which of the head coaches you like the best. Which one do you think was the best hire? And then you're in the draw for 20 DK bucks. I'll be back on Monday with the golf show with Geoff Fienberg for what was once the Career Builder Challenge. Now is the Desert Classic, I think. Oh, I'll know by Monday. Put it that way. I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!